then you moved on to, because I found this interesting too. You were touring prisons with your other group, which I'm blanking on
Timothy's Gift.
Timothy's Gift.
Yep,
I almost said Anthony's Gift, but I knew that was incorrect.
Gift.
I knew that wasn't
Very
correct.
misogynistic name, yes.
So out of respect, I said I'm blanking on the name instead of misnaming it.
John's Gift.
So yeah, you would tour.
That's right.
You would tour prisons. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I was going to a church called Grace Point, and they had this outreach called Timothy's Gift, and my friend Melissa Green, she used to sing in a Christian band called Avalon. She was the worship leader at the church at the time, and she partnered with a man named Ron Miller to become kind of the musical curator for this prison ministry, is what they were calling it at the time. When she got involved, it ended up being called the Hope Tour, and it ended up being more of an outreach. We kind of took Christian out of it, and we just went into prisons to lift people's spirits, and not necessarily going in there trying to lead them to Christ, or not necessarily. We did not go in there trying to convert anyone.
Yeah, you weren't trying to convert anybody.
No. We didn't go in there with any ulterior motive except to say, here are some amazing top 40 songs. Here are some throwbacks. Here are some spiritual songs. Hey, everyone is welcome to the table. We want you to know, no matter what you have done, that you are worth something. And let me just tell you, and I say this to everyone, what an exercise. If you do believe that there is a God, first of all, and if you believe that God is all loving, in Christian faith, they believe that God is all loving, that, and you look out into a sea of men and or women. There's more men incarcerated, so we were mainly at male prisons. We were at maximum security prisons. So you're looking out into the sea of men who have raped, molested, murdered, and you look out and you say to yourself, you are still worthy and you are still worth something. That is such an exercise in humanity, in empathy, and in your faith, honestly.
Yeah.
And that, selfishly, that was very powerful for me. And also, I remember talking to my good friend Lauren. She was in Beta and the Neon Panthers with me, and she also went on the tour. She also went on the prison tour with me. And saying, and you also have to remember that these people in prisons are family members. They're their sons and their dads and I remember looking at Lauren, I said, I just can't even imagine. I look out there, these men in these blue uniforms, and I said, I can't even imagine. Lauren, imagine your dad out there in that uniform, in that sea of men. Doesn't that change your perspective of these people? And she was like, yeah, it really does. It was a very crazy and interesting experience, but and very, very powerful, and it's got me advocating for prison reform. And honestly, I'm actually working with Melissa's actually branched off of Grace Point and started her own thing called Imaginarium. We're going to start our own prison outreach through Imaginarium, but working on a curriculum to build community within prisons, because that doesn't exist in prisons.
Oh, no way.
There is a community, but it's most of the time, fairly violent,
Yeah.
So
you pack the worst of the worst in one place. I don't imagine they're going to be gardening.
That's what we want, but you're right. They won't be.
Or checking their masculinity at any point. It's so great that you do that, and you're so right that when you do something like that and you go into the thick of it, it really does check your perspective, because the narrative is these people have done wrong, they're monsters, and it's easy for the human mind to separate those people into monsters or people who are subhuman, because they've done, honestly, subhuman things.
Yeah.
But they're people. They're people just like you and me. And based on whatever life they had, they thought this was necessary in their life.
Yeah.
Which is terrible and sad. And it's just, the whole thing is sad. But it definitely brings you back to a different outer body perspective.
Yeah, it just creates a level of empathy that you didn't know you had. And it also, but it's really hard to balance, because I think in real life you have to be, when you own a home and you're an adult, you have kids, or you have to be aware of perpetrators and people who have a tendency to do things that could harm you. And it's a very hard thing to balance being aware of those people and protecting yourself and your tribe, and also extending an arm of empathy and grace towards them at the same time.
Yeah. But isn't that the beauty of the human condition?
Yeah.
That we are able to do that. But we're able to do, we're able to do terrible things. We're able to let rage and emotion dictate what we do. Mm-hmm. But we're also able to stop ourselves and go, wait, this isn't right. Mm-hmm. I can't do this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know? It's fascinating.
There's darkness and light in all of us, isn't there? Yeah, it's really crazy. And that's another thing, that we would always say is, and even one of the prison guards said to us when we were walking in, I remember him saying, we're all just one bad decision away, but from being here ourselves.
Oh, and yeah. I've heard that before.
It was so powerful listening to a guard say that. It made me think, these men are lucky to have you as a guard, if that's really your mentality day in and day out.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to, because, I just watched the show called Mindhunter.
I watched all of it already.
It's incredible.
Oh, wait, there's only one season out, right?
Yes,
already watched it. Done.
Yeah, done. Amazing. But the spoiler, the first serial killer he interviews is Ed Kemper. And Ed Kemper was really friendly with cops, and cops would be his friend and bring him special things because he was just so cool. Yet Ed Kemper just dismembered his grandma and his girlfriend and all these other girls and did these terrible things. Yet all these these prison guards were friendly with him because he was friendly and he was funny and he was smart and intelligent. And I mean, he can't do anything to us in here, so
isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy that, again, the human condition is so weird that we're able to just...
What a dichotomy. That fucks with your head. That's so hard. Oh my God.
And even towards the end of that season where he hugs Ed Kemper, again, spoiler.
Ed Kemper's the really big guy, super tall.
Big dude, and he's super smart and charming almost, and you're just... And then...
Didn't he chop off his mom's head?
Oh, yeah.
And should we say that?
Yeah,
on the podcast?
Yeah.
Was he a real person?
Yeah. All the people that they interview in the show are real people.
Okay, it's about to get real dark right now. I'm going to say this. But Ed Kemper chops off his mom's head, and in one scene he's describing to this detective who is there trying to learn. Is he a detective? He's more of like he's an FBI psychologist trying to understand why these serial killers do what they do. And he's trying to understand why Ed Kemper did specifically this. He chopped off his mom's head and performed fellatio with his mom's head. And I mean, like...
Don't mean to laugh, but it's just
it's
crazy.
So ridiculous, like you almost have to, because it's like, laugh so you don't cry.
Yeah, that's
so dark.
That's something that you would just, I don't know, put in a very dark book.
Well, but Ed Kemper said, it's because I wanted to embarrass her, essentially, is what he said, because of the way his mother treated him, because his mother was abusive towards him. And, actually, I remember watching him talk about that, and as grossed out as it was, him describing that experience and why he did it, you have a little bit, you see a little light of humanity, because you say, well, you really took that far, but you went too far. But, that actually makes sense.
Well, look, if... Not every child that is abused, turns out to be an Ed Kemper, obviously. No. Otherwise, we'd be in really big trouble.
Yeah.
But that's a definite possibility if you abuse your kid.
Yeah. Public service. PSA: don't abuse your children.
Yes.
That's trying to figure out what the acronym was.
That's the goal of this podcast.
Yes, it's a public service announcement.
But yeah, what I was saying was it's so crazy where you can empathize with his story, even though the conclusion of that story is that he does these terrible things. But he wasn't born. See, it's like they're in the show. They're struggling with the idea that people are born serial killers or born crazy.
Nature versus nurture.
And so yeah, this is the first time in history in the 70s that they really started to play around with the idea of environmental attributes to these people. Like, oh, maybe they weren't born crazy. Maybe his crazy mom turned him into this psycho killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all responsible for our own choices.
Correct.
Like your mom can't turn you into a psycho killer, but she can facilitate the oops, just hit the mic. She can facilitate the whatever myelination happens that creates a thought process that allows you to go down these dark neurological pathways. Oh man, I was going to say something. What was I going to talk about? Crazy people. Oh, speaking of nature versus nurture, I have kind of crossed into the world of film recently. Writing films and directing.
I was actually going to ask you how the response has been for Bones.
That's right. Oh, you guys. Shane did music for one of my tapping this table, for one of my films, Bones, and
Shane and Kyle.
Yeah. And well, Bitlords, right?
Yeah,
you guys remember Bitlords?
That was.
And God, every time I watch it, I am just like, fuck, this music is so good, y'all.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
it's so
that.
Good.
It was a lot of fun doing something like that. I thank you for giving us the opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
So whoever's listening, if you want to watch the film and listen to the amazing music, BonesFilm.com, you can go on there. You can you can watch the trailer, and then you can watch the full film as well.
What is the film about? Let's go ahead. What the short indie film is about and how it came about. So Bones is a independent film that you filmed last year?
I filmed it. It was, well, yeah, it probably took about 1.5 years to film completely. But we kickstarted it. We got the funding. We shot it, most of it over the course of 1.5 weeks. Oh, we did. Last February is mainly when we shot it. Okay. And then last fall, oh God, no, I'm getting this wrong. 2016, February of 2016 is when we shot it. Fall of 2016 is when we finished shooting it, and then we finished, had the premiere, I think, February of 2017, this year at some point. Sorry, let me look at my Apple Watch. I can feel it buzzing because someone's calling me. It's my dad. Excuse me, Dad. So yeah, Bones is kind of, we had based it off of so after I did my pop band, I started a folk band, and we had, to make music for licensing, because that's how musicians make money now. But I had written a song called Bones, me and my friend Anna Flott, and it was kind of based off of Wuthering Heights, blah, blah, blah. None of that's interesting. Point being, we were going to make a music video with this amazing director named Matt Underwood, and instead of making a music video for the band, we ended up turning it into a short film. And the process of that was about 3 years writing it and getting it kind of smushed together into a 18-minute format. But it's a story essentially about a girl who finds herself in a situation where she could be sent to prison for life for something that she didn't do. And for me personally, it was an exploration in crimes of passion, because a lot of time in these prison systems, I'd find people who were there just because they got really mad at their husband or someone hurt them, and they just felt like their only option was to kill someone. So, not that that's what happens in this film, spoiler alert, but it's kind of that same conversation, nature versus nurture.
It's a dark story, but it's a story that's realistic for sure. Like this definitely could happen.
I'm just looking for someone. Have you seen him?
Jude ain't home. Jude's not coming home. You and I both know that. I gotta get out. The place is suffocating.
I've seen him a time or two.
You want to know how to tell if someone's being honest? It's in their eyes.
It's not what you think. I wasn't trying to hurt you, babe. It had nothing to do with you.
This has everything to do with me.
What it does, it kind of takes you through the story of what this girl experiences and how she ends up where she ends up is kind of ridiculous, but you're like, oh, I see how you got there. Shout out to Gearseven production, John Matejak, Matthew Underwood, the director.
So you guys started the process of submitting it into festivals, or did that process come and go? Or?
Yes. So we submitted into some festivals and we're still submitting. Unfortunately, one thing that I have found, this film is absolutely gorgeous. It's top of the line. The director of photography from Still the King was our DP. He was amazing. John Matejak. But one thing I'm kind of learning with the festival circuit is specifically when we were entering, if it wasn't geared towards kind of a political statement or specifically immigration was a big topic. People immigrating from Iraq to England, you know, that huge conversation that was happening.
Yeah.
I think it was I think it was Iraq. A lot of immigrant stories were doing really well in festivals. LGBTQ stories about the race climate. Our story was just a story, not just a story. It was a story about kind of a mystery, murder mystery sort of thing without necessarily a social commentary to it. Yeah, unless they were to explain it like I just did. So what I'm trying to say is, to do well in festivals at this juncture, you have to have implanted into your story a social commentary. We didn't have that. Needless to say, it's still doing great. We got, I'd have to pull up BonesFilm.com to look at the accolades we've received thus far. It has little badges on it from all the different things that we've done, but we're still submitting it to stuff. It's still one of the first films that I've produced, written, and starred in, and I'm really proud of it. It's really gorgeous. So, anyways, yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, film shortage. We got short of the day on film shortage. We screened at Nashville Film Festival. What else is on there? I know Matt's submitting it to a few other things. Where would the accolades be? It should be at the top, like the little laurel. The laurels. I'm at BonesFilm.com. Do I hit enter? Oh yeah, push enter. Okay. Sorry. And I got Seed and Sparks featured on Film Shortage. Mm-hmm. It says best scripted shorts online. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the festival process is a long one. So it's just, you just keep submitting, and it's also fairly political. Yeah, like everything. Yeah, so, there's so many amazing pieces, the stories out there that aren't in festivals but stand alone and are absolutely gorgeous and amazing, and people need to be getting on Vimeo or Film Shortage and watching this work, because I'm just blown away. It looks fantastic. It looks very, very, very professional. Well, it is. Yeah. It's so funny when you say an indie film, it's people just think of, I don't know, just something that a person like me who I'm not a film buff. I don't watch the latest indie social commentary ever. Someone like me could watch this and just sit down and watch it and be like, oh, okay, I'm interested. Yeah. Just based on how it looks. Yeah. The production is insane. That's the first thing you see. Production, good. Production, bad. See you, bye. Exit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry. It's true. Like, production value is a huge thing that gets your foot in the door with anything. If your product has to have a good production value. I was talking to the lighting guy. I can't remember his name. He's amazing. But I was like, hey, what was the last thing you worked on? He's like, oh, Dark Knight. I was like, oh, you were the light guy. I was like, yeah, I was light guy.
It's my favorite movie.
Or like, just everyone who worked on it was insane, and I was very lucky, very, very lucky to have that team behind that project. So
that's awesome. So let's piggyback to what you've been doing now, as far as, because you've now pursued a career in acting. Correct?
Yeah, so I still do music. I still write with artists. I still do licensing with my folk band Youngest Daughter, and that will never be ruled out. I will always be doing music. I love it. It's a huge part of who I am. But I have started really focusing on film, not just acting or being an actor, but directing and DPing. And it's just another medium of storytelling. I got to a point with music, specifically because every song I was writing for myself, I pictured a music video first. Mm-hmm. So finally I was like, why aren't I making film? Film just felt so far out of reach because it was so...
well, it's expensive, and it's a whole hell of a lot of work. Yeah, and you have to depend on so many other people.
Yeah. It's incredibly collaborative.
I mean, I guess like a band, but but you know, with a band you have what, 2, 3, 4 people to deal with, and you're all concentrating on one thing: writing the song and then putting it out there.
Yep.
With film, you have to get DPs, you have to get hands, you have to get all these different people to focus and do their part to make this giant project work.
It's insane, and I will tell you, with creating Bones, the level of collaboration that it took was such an amazing experience for me. And it taught me that when you pull people together on a project who are good at what they do, and you're able to delegate to people you trust, that they will kill it, it's an amazing experience. And as I've gotten older, I just turned 30, I am realizing whatever I do now, I want to work with people who kill it, because I know I'm going to kill it.
Surround yourself with people who are better than you at something.
Exactly. Everything I do now, I want to be doing it with excellence. I want to be showing people what I am capable of. It's none of the, I'm not gonna, I turned 30 and all of a sudden I felt like I was an adult all of a sudden. I started saying no to things. I started being like, no, man, I'm really good at this. Like, you need to pay me this. You need, and especially as a woman, it's almost like I got to this point where I was like listening to my male friends and listening to their success and saying, why I need to change the conversation in my head.
There you go.
If I am going, I can't belittle myself. I can't, what's it called when you self-deprecate my abilities just to sound humble when I'm actually really good at certain things.
Correct. I think it's a problem with a lot of musicians too. I do that constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just, you want to sound like, you don't want to sound like a douche saying like, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
But if you're confident in your abilities, you should be confident in your abilities. Don't be a douche, but just I can do that. Absolutely. Let me do it.
Yeah.
I'm and you say it with a strength.
Well, and it's saying it, but also having things to back it up. It's like, I can do that. Look what I just wrote. Look at the project I just did. This is what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Which I think is something where I'm at this point in my life where I was like, I've done many things. I've got you. Don't worry about it.